If you want the drum patterns in your head to translate to your FL Studio screen, this video is for you. This is the most accurate way to get your ideas into FL Studio. So the thing about our brain is that we're really creative in the brain, but the computer does not know how to grasp that creativity. What we're going to do is go to our mixer here, set up your microphone, and we're going to record. So the main thing is that we record really heavy transients. So it's okay to be loud. We're not doing this to insert it into the beat. We're going to do like the Timbaland approach, which is to record drums using a beatbox. Okay, so let's record this in. See how my natural timing wasn't perfectly on time? Let's drag that audio into the playlist. And what we want to do here is, assuming you recorded to the metronome, we're going to double click here, right click, and open and slice. What slice will do is automatically figure out the transient points. We don't need to be microscopic about this. The main thing is that we have the transient. So right here is a ghost transient. So let's just delete that. Okay, so the main thing is not hearing the drum idea that we had. Nextly, what we need to do is go to the channel rack here, hit Control X. We need to go to Slice X. Click this button here where it says Dump Score to Piano Roll. Basically, it will take all these chops, and depending on their length, it will map it to the piano roll. Because we're on tempo, we recorded that to 93 BPM. It should be on beat with our actual metronome. So if I hit play, it should line up perfectly. Okay, so what we want to do from here is create what's called an FL Studio score file. A score file, basically, think of it like MIDI. It takes the timing of your MIDI and it uses that to create quantized points. So all these, like when I hit Alt Q, these little red lines, it will basically take the starting points of our notes and create custom red lines. Okay, so now what we could do here is go to the top left where it says piano roll options, go to File, save score as. And we need to save this to the scores folder. Just click here, go to find this folder in FL Studio if you don't already have this, or you guys can go to, if you're on Mac, let's show you guys how to get here. Go to Applications. We're going to have to actually open this in the Finder so that it's easier. So if you're on Mac, this is only Mac. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds making this video here. So here's the FL Studio. We need to find FL Studio. Where is it at? 2024. Right click, go to Show Package Contents, go to Contents, go to Resources, go to FL, go to Data, then go to where it says Patches, and then go to where it says Scores. This is where we're going to save the score. Okay, I'm going to create a subfolder here for BusyWorks Beats. Okay, so let's say BusyWorks Beats so that I can create my own FL Studio scores. So what we need to do in FL Studio is find that folder. It's not easy to get to by default, so we're just going to save this in the wherever your thing is, and then you guys can go to your own Finder and move the file to where I just showed you, basically. So in here, this is a separate folder. Okay, we're going to create another folder and call this, let's call it like West Coast. And I like to give it a BPM so I can quickly glance 93 BPM. Okay, so now we have that. So what we can do now is draw out some drums. I'm not going to sit here and waste time going through our drum categories. So we're going to pause the video and come back with some drums. So I have the sounds here from EA Ski's kit. Okay, now what we could do, here's a fast way, but assuming you don't have the original MIDI, what you could do, I'll show you guys the fast way. Hit Control C, go to Pattern 2, hit Control V onto the kick. So on the kick, we want to basically pull this back to middle C so it doesn't trigger all these different tunings. You know, all these different notes on the keyboard. We want our kick to be one note. Let's hit Alt K. I learned this from, I believe, Sicky Beats. Go to where it says Key C, none under the scale. And then we need to create a range here. So normally I think it looks like this. You need to left click and just make middle C or C5 the target note here and make sure there's no extra notes. So it only goes C to C, and then right click on C, hit accept. So basically pulled all those notes from all those random notes to middle C. And all I have to do now is figure out where does the kick hit. So it's not all these hits. Okay, so this is the faster way, but again, this requires you guys to actually have the MIDI. So I'll show you guys in the case that you don't have the MIDI, how to quantize to that. But let's just start with source file. So you can hear some of the notes are not perfectly on the metronome, and that's what creates that human timing. Okay, so that's the whole magic to it. Let's hit Control V again, same deal, hit Alt K, and we just need to find our snare timing. So this does save a lot of time, but I'll show you guys a different way. Okay, so the last thing we need is the hi-hat. Let's hit Control V. And a quick way to do this, I'm trying not to show you guys everything about everything. Go inside the kick, hit Control A, Control C, and hit Control V, and just hit Shift up. And then let's make sure that's on the downbeat. I feel like that pasted randomly. Let's go back there. So pull these back to the downbeat. Go back to your snare, hit Control A, Control C, Control V, and paste it in. So what we are doing here is, why is this not lining up? I don't know why it's acting weird. Let's do this again. Control A. So it should not be offset. I don't know why it's so offset. Who knows? I have no idea. Okay, so we're just gonna just eyeball it. We don't need to know the exact values, but basically I just need to visually see which hits are kicks, which hits are snares, and then figure out where can the hi-hat come in. So it looks like this could be a hi-hat right here. And so I'm just looking at the ones that are not kicks and snares, and we're just going to delete the kicks and snares. So now we have that hi-hat. And that is our final piece to the puzzle here. Boom. So this one, we could always overlap hi-hats, but we're not going to do that for this example here. Boom. It's hard to tell this hit here. So I don't know what these hits are. I think this pasted crooked or something. So nextly, the way we could do it to make it a lot easier is instead of all that work, which I just showed you guys, we could record our own drums. Okay, so let's record the kick. Now this time we're going to create a similar pattern, but not the same exact pattern. Okay, so what we can do, which most people don't know you could do, is you could right click, go to piano roll, hit Alt Q, and we can go to where it says template, click this folder icon, and now we need to find the score that we've created. So depending on which folder you added this in, see how it's in a different folder now? Okay, so you guys just have to understand where you are on your computer. Go here to where it says BusyWorks Beats. Apparently I didn't save the score, so let's do this again. Thought I saved it there. All right, so let's save file, save as. So see how the folders are different? So this is in my documents folder. It did not save to my applications folder. This is why I recommend you guys do this in the actual Finder. So quickly, I'll just show you guys how to get to that where we were before. So this is my documents folder, which is my own folder. Go to applications, go to FL Studio, right click, show package contents, go to contents, go to resources, FL, data, patches, scores, and then paste the file. Okay, so now it's in there. So now when I go to quantize, it's actually in the right area. So let's go back. So here's our kick, hit Alt Q. And then we need to find the score folder. So let's go back. And now we have that BusyWorks Beats folder. We can quantize it to the West Coast. So as you see these vertical lines, it will measure where your drums are and try to get it closer to those red lines. So if I turn up the sensitivity and the start time, it will have the swing that I actually had in the original beatbox. So your drums will sound more authentic. So let's record the snare. So this way is a lot easier, but again, it requires you guys understanding how to save the score file. Let's hit Alt Q, and then we need to turn up the start time. So now that snare will fall into the pocket. And now let's create a hi-hat that goes all the way through and quantize it. All right, so I'm showing you multiple ways to do the same thing, same-ish thing. So FL is like glitching to where it's not showing notes. Let's right click, go to piano roll, hit Alt Q, and now we should have a more. Now the thing is, we didn't have enough vertical lines for the hi-hat timing. So the hi-hat needs more vertical lines to quantize more granularly, but we don't have as many. So let's see how far we can get without going crazy with the swing here. So if you want more accurate hi-hats, you would need more triggers because the original reference did not have a bunch of hi-hats. It was only for kicks and snares, really. So the hi-hat's not the greatest, but what we'll do is record another file to this. So now let's record the hi-hat reference. Let's record. So now we need to record like as fast as a hi-hat would be. Okay, so now we have that. So let's do the same exact process. Double click, right click, open and slice. It should auto slice. I could tell there's some errors in here, so I'm just going to delete some of the markers that are doubled up, which we don't need. Very important because we don't want these to be those red vertical lines unnecessarily. So I'm just going to delete any excess markers here. Sometimes FL Studio, the algorithm doesn't pick up the right spots. Okay, so I'm just deleting these little duplicate vertical lines. Now some of these are justified vertical lines. So we're boom. Okay, so now we have this. We need to do the same thing. We need to go to a blank channel rack, blank pattern in the channel rack. Hit Control X to get rid of the MIDI there. We're gonna hit dump score to piano roll. And now we have that hi-hat performance as a MIDI. And now we can save this as a score file. Okay, and then let's save a West Coast hi-hat so it has more data points in here. And remember, we need to save this in the 2 folders. So I need to right click, show in folder, copy, right click, copy. Let's see which folder I'm in. I'm in the presets under documents, which means I need to go to my applications, right click, show package contents, resources, FL, data, patches, scores. And then we have a subfolder in here and I need to paste the file here. So I have it in my 2 locations in the case that FL Studio picks either folder. Okay, so what does this mean? Now we can go back to pattern, what was it? 3. Let's record these hi-hats by hand. So those hi-hats are going to be different than the hi-hats I beatbox, and this is why this is so important. Let's right click, go to the piano roll, and now we need to hit Alt Q and find that other file that's a little more granular called the West Coast hi-hat file. And now when we, quantize to the start time, we have more vertical lines to quantize too. So it's a little more accurate for faster moving stuff like hi-hats. See how my beatbox sounded nothing like how it would naturally play. Now, to be fair, the beatbox had a little bit of an attack. So let's go to the wrench tool, add a little bit of time shift. But let's say it's a little too much for that performance. Let's hit Alt Q. Let's undo what we just did. Let's hit Control Z. And then let's hit Alt Q and just go about 50% with the start time quantize. Okay, so we just got to do it by ear at that point. Because my hi-hats were different in the reference. They're not the same sample, so they're going to perform differently. So that is how you create more realistic drums the way you guys hear it in your head. And now we can add this to the playlist and then add our own instruments. All right, so at this point, we're just gonna jam out, play some chords. All right, all right, guys. That I know is a lot of technical stuff, but if you guys want to make your drums sound more accurate the way you actually beatbox in your head, that is the process on how to create score files. I know there's a lot to take in. If you guys want to learn how to use FL Studio, go to busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio. Share with a friend. Peace out, guys.